We have a 15-year at 58 and change. We have a 17-year at 50%. And we have the 17-year at 43 and change percent. Welcome to Whiskey and SV. I'm your host Sam, and tonight we're going to be gobbling some old turkey juice again. So I have with me here the Russell Reserve 15-year, and as you can see, it has been enjoyed quite a bit. I wish it was all me, but I've just been giving quite a bit of samples out to people because it's one of those bottles I'm super excited about, and it's hard to come by. So, if a friend doesn't have it and they want to try it, I'm not going to say no. But I do need to chill a bit on it because it's I'm going through it a bit too fast, and it really is an amazing bottle. I really hope everyone can at least try it. Anyway, so in the previous episode with Tam, we tried this next to the 13-year and the CNF, and we concluded that this is significantly superior to those two releases. Now, those are no slouches by themselves, but this just was absolutely a better expression. It's more oaky, it's more intense, it just does everything amped up and to a better degree. Now the question is that just a matter of age, or is there some other things going on here? And I wondered, do we have access to any 17-year Wild Turkey juice, right? As you know, Russell Reserve is a sub-brand of, like the luxury sub-brand of Wild Turkey. And Wild Turkey has this series called the Master's Keep, right? And the Master's Keep series started in 2015, and the first one in that series was the 17-year expression that they put out. And it was bottled at 86.8%. Now, I have only a sample of it here, thanks to my good friend Don, who is a super generous guy who hooked me up with quite a few really cool samples with these beautifully printed sample labels. And he's given me actually both the 17-year and the one that came out in 2015, and then the 17-year bottle in bond, which actually came out in 2020, I believe, so 5 years after that, and being bottled in bond, so it is 50% ABV. So basically, it means we have a 15-year at 58 and change, we have a 17-year at 50%, and we have the 17-year at 43 and change percent. So exciting. Let's try to see if we can blind these. I don't know if it's a good idea actually to blind these. I think maybe we can just do a review without a blind, because I think it's going to be very obvious, because this is just so much more oaky and much more ABV. And I think just from an ABV perspective, it'll be too obvious. All right, so I'm going to start by the 17-year Wild Turkey Master's Keep first. It's quite aromatic, but it does feel a little bit watered down. There's just not that intensity that you would expect, but it has this really old brick house kind of funk. Like this is not a flavor you get in newer whiskeys. It has to have some age on it to get this sort of old, dusty sort of aroma. There's some peanuts in there. Obviously caramel and vanilla because it's a bourbon, right? But yeah, that peanut note is definitely prominent, and there is for sure this rick house funk and this dusty note that's very enjoyable. A little bit light, but quite nice. All right, I'm gonna go through and nose them all first, then I'll go back and taste. So moving on to the bottle in bond, 17-year. Wow. Interestingly, not only is this more concentrated, it also, I think, has some more fruity notes that are missing or hard to pick up in that one. So, and the peanut note is slightly less here. It's more on the fruity side than the peanut side. And maybe not peanuts. It's like a mix of peanuts and almonds. So it is kind of here, the small hints of it, but it's mostly the fruity notes are much more prominent. It also has that dusty funk, sort of brick house funk to it as well. Very nice. All right, last but not least, the Russell Reserve 15. It's significantly darker. Probably hard to pick up on camera, but yeah, definitely significantly darker than even the 17 bottling bond. So this in aroma is much closer to this, but it has more oak. So it's fruity, plus it has significantly more oak. It also has that same nice dusty note, the funky rick house kind of aroma. Okay, so I'm gonna go and restart on the 17 and try it on the palate. That is very enjoyable. Despite being only 43%, this is actually very viscous, mouth coating, and full of flavor. And it actually is sort of spicy as well. So the sweet notes start, and then the spices just really make your mouth water, and the flavors linger on and on. It's surprising that something that is so, I guess, low in ABV, it can have so much lingering aftertaste. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, moving on to the BIB. Definitely much more enjoyable nose. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, just amped up. Like everything is more amped up. There's these cola notes, there's fruity notes, there's just this intense layer of baking spices and fruity notes. Even some citrus in there. Yeah, and it's just this very nice caramel note that envelops the whole thing. Really, really great. And the aftertaste, none of these two is very oaky. Actually, it's they have a good amount of oak, but definitely not like if nowhere as much as what I remember from the 15. So let's go to the 15 and see how it compares. Yeah, I mean comparatively, that's extra ABV that the Russell Reserve 15 has really goes a long way to make everything more concentrated, and it definitely has more oak, and it's a sweet oak that really ties the whole experience together in a very unique way. I think they are certainly very different. I think you may not always be in a mood to be smacked by so much concentrated flavor all the time, and I think there's a time where maybe you just want to sit down and relax with a more easy to sip whiskey. Although these are so expensive that I don't think you'll ever be sipping and not paying attention. But definitely, I can see this as something that's if you're not in the mood for something that just smacks you around, you might want something a little bit more of a sophisticated experience, but still, not so intense. Then this would just do nicely. That is great. Going back to this one. Yeah, going between these two, this definitely has a lot more fruity notes that are just missing from that, and I don't know why that is and how that came to be. This time, the oak in this is becoming more prominent, but it's cut with a little bit of a citrus or I guess mm, orange skin note. Now I go back to this, it's even more aromatic, even more fruity, and even more oaky. Yeah, that's just something else. All right, final thoughts. So I think these are all around the same cost. If you want to acquire them, you're paying in the order of $400 to $450, which is a lot of money to pay for a whiskey. But I would have to say that given the experience that you're getting, if you are a whiskey nerd like I am, then they are definitely worth it. Now, I think if you have the full collection and you want to complete that set, then it makes sense to get the 17 as well. But if you don't care about that and you just want experience, I think the BIB is better in every single way. Um, it has the same sort of like Rick House funk and complexities. It has extra fruity notes on top of it. It's about 7 or 8% more ABV, so it's more concentrated on the palate. It's just in every way is superior to that. Between these two, between the BIB and the Russell's 15, I think it'll come down to preference. I think I could see that some nights If I'm in the mood for something much more oaky and intense, I would probably gravitate towards the RR15. And if I want something a little bit less intense, a little bit more mellowed out, but still complex and very flavorful, then probably the Bottle in Bond would be the right choice. So yeah, I think those are my thoughts. I personally, I think I'm going to try to get both of these, the Wild Turkey Master's Keys, because I have the rest of the series and I really want to have them in my collection. As for Russell's 15, it is really, really an amazing whiskey, and I will definitely make sure that I will savor this, and I will keep a backup for down the line to enjoy. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me in this episode. I hope you found it interesting and informative, and I hope to see you in future episodes. Take care and see you next time. Cheers.